Alrighty, good afternoon, YouTube. Hajim Zero here, back with another quick movie review, and of course, keeping in the spirit of a nice little, continuing long track of kung fu movies. This one is Fist of Fury, but it's actually Big Boss, and I'm gonna explain a little bit, explain all that. Just researching this movie, like right after I had watched it, it laid down a lot of interesting, stuff that went on behind the scenes. So first, let's talk about the plot. Bruce Lee plays a character that is working with one of his cousins in Thailand, I believe, and come to find out, the ice factory that they're working it in is really a drug front, you know. And X, Y, and Z. I think they try to recruit him. He says no, and then the guy that owns the drug front factory sends thugs to kill him, and it's a back and forth, of him trying to keep a pledge and not to fight versus, all the drama that ensues. Now, of course, someone's probably gonna chastise me in the comments and tell me the actual plot. Again, you can go ahead, because I'm really tired, and just to be honest, I saw this movie like, what was it? I say a few weeks, not even weeks, could have been like a month ago or so. I just never got around to time to do the review, so I skimmed real quick on the plot and everything and looked it up. It's pretty basic as that. So the interesting things about this movie, there are multiple versions of this film, mainly because of censorship that goes on in China. And again, I kind of don't know why, but hold on, when we get to films like Fearless and It Man, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the politics in it, because it is kind of funny, back then versus today. It's still kind of the same, yada yada yada. Mainly, some of the violence and nude scenes were heavily edited, and I know one scene in particular that involved a saw blade. Yeah, I think it wasn't shot, or it could have been destroyed, or it never made it to the final version or of any of them. I think I have the second version of this film. This one is the bad dubbing, and of course it's the original. I don't know what the term is. It's not high definition. It's not like when when you go to Walmart and they give you, or not even Walmart, but you know how they do the re-releases with collection of movies, and they look all nice and pretty. This one looks like the raw original, footage from the VHS, with the bad, English dub. Uh I'm really thinking of that term, what they will call it when it has the old original, old 70s styles look, and you can tell it's not like, a different quality. Hopefully one of you film nerds, even though I'm a little bit of one, not that much, I say like a C level. Shockingly, I don't know what the term is right now, but yeah. One reason sometimes I like to watch this, mainly because of the time travel. Like I said with the last Bruce Lee movie, I like to look at the era of clothing, what they were wearing, and mainly, that's it. It's a nice little reference. Excuse me. Guys know how much I hate yawning in the middle of me talking. But you can pretty much I pretty much keep those movies just to look at the style. Of course, I have other films as well from that era, you know, um to get down to American, slang and X, Y, and Z. I just look out little details on that. The Warriors is going through my mind right now with that era. But another interesting fact, this was Bruce Lee's like first big film. He was already on the camera on TV as Kato from Green Hornet. And the interesting thing is that him and his wife were in a rut at a time, and I can't remember if they went to, yeah, they did. They went to Hong Kong, and then that's when he found out about the Kato, show. I'm Green Hornet, and him already being a star just by that television, TV show. And then if you see Dragon into the Bruce Lee story, they kind of, you see that scene transpire. He's about to leave, and the producer chases him down and talks to him about, doing this movie. And Linda had even said, which was even true on the film, they went to go see it, and they thought the movie bombed. They were about to leave, and she had described that that theater was so quiet after, the film had wrapped, and then everyone just stood up and gave a giant applaud, and they applauded Bruce, X, Y, and Z. But this movie, the plot of the story really wasn't that bad. It's just that if it was remade today, it would have been a lot more layers, mainly because, the reality is that in Thailand, that's one of the biggest drug smuggling countries. I think they call it the Golden Triangle, and they're very serious about that shit if you get caught with anything. And, it's, I don't know the whole politics of it there in X, Y, and Z, but the shitty thing is out of all the Asian countries, I know it's the cheapest to go to, but at the same time, it could be the most fucked up place you can go to as well. You know, just like how they would say, certain parts of Mexico, it's kind of the same thing, but at the same time, there are some beautiful parts. Personally, I really want to go to see those ancient pyramids, that they allegedly have in South America or Mexico in itself. But um, it's funny. Hopefully, I do get to get the actual good version of it. My mom, of course, gave me this DVD, and it just seemed like, again, if you watch it, you can see some of the VHS, the little static line that goes over the front. It was either this one or the last one, but I can't really remember. But that even that itself had brought back some memories, because I remember my grandfather, watching movies on the old Betamax. You can see those linings. He even recorded the Mac from back in the day, and it would have that same lining on it. But the funny thing with this, it kind of reminded me of an exploitation film as well. And the funny in saying that, they actually made a sequel to this movie right after Bruce died, and it was like what I described in the last one. That same Bruce Lee imitator called Bruce Lee had, portrayed him in that, and it was just funny, just me mentioning that, because I went back to what Eddie Griffin and Jackie Chan said about Bruce. You really can't replace that man. It was only one of a kind. And I think another interesting fact, at the same time he was going in that rut, he also suffered that injury. And it was funny because my coworker had told me, from what the movie had portrayed, uh, that the one with Jason Scott Lee, when he got kicked in the back by the martial artist, that really didn't happen. The truth of it was of course, you have to fight to prove, you can teach other schools. Because when I get to It Man 2, I'm going to talk about that. But but the movie had portrayed that as soon as he turned his back, dude ran up and kicked him in the back, and that injured him. Come to find out, he had that injury when he was training with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And he even additionally told me, because for years, I think I came up with my own analysis of how he had died, because people really didn't really explain it. They stated that his head had, he had some kind of headache or something, and he just took some meds and he never woke up. But I think it was all the training that he did and the stress he put on his body, and that's what officially killed him. First the body, yeah, the mind or the body, whatever you want to say, had came attacking him first, and then yeah, that happened. And it was funny because if you see the movie with the metaphor, what they were saying, it was a curse, because he was teaching, Chinese secrets to a Western world. And it sucks because I kind of agreed, if Bruce had said it or not, but he possibly did anyway. He'll teach whoever who wants to learn. And if they don't know the beauty of our culture, they're going to continue to discriminate us and do certain things to us. And it's funny because I dated a Vietnamese girl, back in high school, and it's funny how with the racism, it goes in with the politics. It's funny because her mom, she was cool with her having, different friends of another race, but couldn't really date. And it was funny because she had an older sister that kind of already dated, but I think it was the fact that, it was more of a respecting, with the parents, because I guarantee you, if I knew more about their culture, and of course spoke their language, I think her mom would have saw it differently. And, it's understandable, keep it within the culture, because if certain people in your family aren't Americanized, yeah, they can't communicate with these kids who may be Americanized. To me, I can understand it, but at the same time, yeah, if you're living in America, you're gonna have to get used to that. It's understandable if you're overseas, and then it could be difficult, but that's just my opinion on it. But the thing is, they're still dating outside of their race, so they really, yeah, don't care. They've been the good thing is that they've been Americanized, but at the same time, they still have their customs and culture, and they're very smart, young ladies. But that's pretty much all I got to say about this one. Again, someone might probably going to scold me in the comments because I didn't talk much about the movie, because I'm a little bit meh on it. The plot really wasn't that bad, mainly because the realism of the whole drugs in Thailand, and a foreigner from China is coming over there. It is interesting, but you know, if it was made today, like I said, a lot more layers would have been put on that. If it was somebody like me, I would have went in heavy research and detailed what goes on, in Thailand like that, why it's so crime ridden and X, Y, and Z. But that's all I have to say. See you in the next review, and adios.